I don't know if you guys heard the news today. One of a public, a conservative, you know, conservative speaker died today. His name was Charlie Kirk. You might not know who he is, but he was a outspoken conservative public speaker behind a lot of, the MAGA movement, and he really did touch on the pulse of America. If it wasn't for him in 2012 when he was 18, really pushing for change within politics and stuff like that, and during Obama's administration and stuff like that, to change basically the landscape of what we know now as MAGA and public politics. Like him or not, love him or hate him, he didn't deserve to be assassinated at one of these public events in Utah today. It deeply saddens me that people take politics to this extreme and have to assassinate a public speaker like this. I mean, like I said, he was a family man. He has kids, and somebody shot him today. Early reports was that he got shot in the neck by a person in the crowd where he was speaking at one of these campuses in Utah. And later on True Social, Donald Trump came out and gave his deepest condolences to his family and let everybody know that he passed away. It's really sad, man. I can't believe it, dude. I love this guy's debates. I mean, like him or not, I'm a conservative. I'm not a MAGA, but I definitely respected the guy and I respected his opinion. Because some of the things that he touched on, most people in the conservative party would never touch on themselves. You know what I'm saying? And, to lose a powerful voice like Charlie Kirk's in the world that he's really needed right now is it's shocking. Shocking, man. I mean, first Trump, then the school shootings at that Catholic school, uh, because they're liberals and they want to, cause as much damage to people as they can. And it's not all liberals that are like that, but I mean, again, we all got freedom of speech. Even he did. Just because he doesn't align with your social norms of, you know, woke agenda and liberalism, he doesn't deserve to die. I mean, honestly. I mean, this is not the only person that's been assassinated over the years because of their conservative ideology. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being conservative in general. I mean, I mean, you can go back all the way to Ronald Reagan. Donald Trump was almost assassinated by liberals. Again, I think we all need to like step back. I mean, even Abraham Lincoln was killed by a crazy loony liberal fucking person. John Wilkes Booth was a liberal dude and a southern liberal dude. I mean, this is nothing new that we've seen political assassinations. It's just a new wave of it. Honestly, when you do talk about certain topics that are hot in on social media and in public and abroad, that you kind of make yourself into a target, being a public figure like that. It's a shame that they got to go to this level to try to silence his voice, you know what I mean? Instead of like debating with him, you know what I mean? I guess somebody had asked him a question about you think most transgender people are school shooters or whatever, and mass shooters or whatever, and he agreed that it was, but I don't think all of them are like that. I think a lot of the shooters that we've seen over the years are just fucking crazy people who should have never owned a gun in the first place. That's like Sandy Hook, um, Columbine and all that shit, dude. Maybe they had better background checks, or even make people take a psychological evaluation before they buy a gun. Instead of just letting random ass people buy guns so they could do stupid shit like this. It's a sad shame. Hello, everybody. Let's see here. Try me. I gotta go in the. Hang on, I'm trying to warm up my computer, guys. But yeah, it's sad, man. I can't believe that. I mean, like him or not, man, he touched on a lot of subjects and he used a lot of truth when he debated people, man. I watched a lot of his debates over the years. Some of the things I don't agree with what he says, and some things I do agree with. Some of the things he says. We got a systemic problem in this country with mental illness, and by proxy, fixing the problems that we got with mental illness so we can move on as a society and not just cater to, stupid ideology and get our country back the way it's supposed to be, and run it the way it's supposed to be and not like basically trip over our own feet so we don't walk on eggshells to hurt people's feelings about political correctness. Sorry, this is America. This ain't fucking China. This ain't Russia. This ain't some other foreign country. You know what I mean? I mean, honestly, you got to grow a thick skin. You people need to grow a thick skin and stop acting out like this. You're only hurting yourselves by doing stuff like this. What happened to Charlie Kirk? All you do is hurt your own political aspirations going ahead in politics. People are going to look at like, oh my God, these people are crazy. I'm not voting for this shit. Oh my God, I mean, this and that, I mean, oh, free healthcare for everybody. Free fucking this and that, sorry, it doesn't work like that. If you want something in life and you want to achieve things in life, you got to go out and earn it with your own two fucking hands instead of hiding your hands and sitting aimlessly on the sidelines and crying and whining about everything. You got to grow up and grow a thick skin and go out and earn things in life. You can't just have it handed to you. And this is basically what this guy tries to tell people, man, But again, I don't agree with the whole, you know, it is a touchy subject, honestly. And, he did touch on a lot of touchy subjects that really piss people off, in society right now that we're facing right now because of certain things that are being said by our political leaders that basically exclude a certain demographics of people in our communities and society. Yeah, it is pretty fucked, but it's what people voted for. When they voted Trump into office. It's sad, but I don't agree with the whole transgender thing. And I mean, I voted for Trump so he can get our country back on track because you make a lot of fucking promises and you never live up to the promises that you make, you can't keep. You know what I'm saying? What's the point? I voted for, getting America back to work again, getting America off the dependency of other countries. You know what I mean? And getting screwed over in trade and all this stuff. I mean, to the point, yeah, it's kind of gotten that way, but now our society is it's too far gone, honestly. It is way too far gone. If people are literally out here shooting um, people of different politics and ideology or just talking about things, it's words. If words hurt you, you need to go back to school and sit in your safe space and hope somebody doesn't bully you because life is hard. Life was never meant to be easy. If life was meant to be easy, then you would have two cars in your garage. You'd have a multi-million-dollar mansion. You would be the richest, most happiest person in the world. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. Sometimes we hate bosses that we work for. Sometimes we hate doing things we don't want to do in society in order for it to run right. And, just sitting there crying and whining about stuff is not how to move forward in life. And doing stupid stuff like this only hurts your own political aspirations going ahead in 2026. Was it 2029? After what you've seen now in society, the breakdown of society, to the point where most Americans don't give a flying nunchuck about any of this woke politic bullshit anymore. That they haven't realized that yet for their own voter base. And what people really are wanting are jobs. They don't want to have to worry about their kids being fucked with in school. They want to know when they're going to be able to get a paycheck so they could fucking feed their kids. The crumbling road and bridge systems that we have in America, that we're sending money overseas to fix other people's countries, why our own country falls apart. You know what I'm saying? It's sad, bro. This is I mean, we can't even afford to take care of our own homeless people, or even mentally challenged people as well. You know what I mean? We can't even take care of them. But we're over here everywhere else taking care of everybody else in the world when they have some of the biggest economies in the world. But yet we can't even take care of our own people, and then they're gonna cry and whine about what one dude says, you know, to fix our country. I mean, I think we should start worrying about our own country first and stop worrying about everybody else. And I know it's highly politicized because what's been going on here lately with the immigration, and you got families being uprooted, and it is a politically charged environment right now. You know what I mean? But to do this to a political opposition leader, or somebody that speaks out against certain things about the opposite party, is asinine, bro. I mean, it should really you should really sit up and take notice to what that party is about. They always say they're the party of progression and peace. That don't look like a peaceful party to me when they're burning down cities, looting stores, and everything that you can imagine. This guy's touched on all this. You know what I mean? He did what nobody else would talk about. He talked about the hard questions that nobody wanted to touch because they wanted to feel safe and not and touch nerves and walk on eggshells. Sorry, there's people out there that are very strong-willed and have their own opinions, about things, that speak out against the tyranny of bureaucracy, and society as a whole is disgusting that they would, you know. But I mean, even some of the liberals now, they're like, I don't know, man, this is pretty fucked up. I don't agree with, killing people because of political ideology. You know what I mean? It's crazy, dude. Or should I say unalive? I guess that's the social norm that you're supposed to use now these days because of social media terms of service and policy. It is sad, bro. I mean, I respected this guy highly, man. I can't believe he died today. Man, but you kind of knew it was kind of coming because he's going on these like liberal campuses and debating other liberals on really touchy topics and stuff like that. And but sadly, we lost a bright star in the conservative party today. It's he might even had political aspirations of being a president one day, but his life was cut short because of some mentally deranged piece of shit from the opposition party who didn't like his words, and he got in his feelings and pulled out a gun and shot him. It's sad, dude. They haven't caught the person who did it yet, though. Unfortunately, it wasn't the guy that was asking him the question about mass shooters being transgender or anything like that. I got transgender friends because I don't agree with a lot of that shit. And there's a lot of good transgender people out there that, are conservative. They don't like this subject, being talked about. They don't like being, disparaged. There's a lot of good transgender people out there, that are conservative. They vote conservative. They even go to church. They got families. You know what I'm saying? And, stuff like this, turns people against that whole demographic of people, you know what I'm saying? And makes them think that the whole demographic of people are fucking insane when they're not. There's good people. I know a ton of people in the transgender community that own guns, and they're not like this. You know what I mean? I think it's all about politics. They believe in the spoon-fed propaganda that's being spewed on CNN and MSNBC, and saying that, oh yeah, I mean, literal liberals telling people that they should unalive a president. You know what I mean? Or, go out and attack other rivals of our politics. We can't. No, we got to go out and fight them. We got to burn stuff down. I mean, come on, man. I thought politics is supposed to be about peace and, transition. But again, we're stuck in another stupid situation again today. when it just shows you how ignorant the opposite party is. I mean, don't get me wrong, we got ignorant people in the conservative party as well, that make all of us look like idiots. Trump, but what I'm saying, it is what it is. I mean, this destroys any hope that they got for future political advancements. It's sad, dude. It's sad. And Charlie, there will be another Charlie. They won't be another Charlie Kirk unless they go after Ben Shapiro. God help us all. You're going to assassinate Ben Shapiro next because he got you liberals in your fuse. You're going to go shoot him too because he speaks out against stuff like that as well. I mean, people are crazy, man. I mean, it's the times we're living in, man. People don't. I mean, they don't consider what they're doing is bad. It's like they don't know sin for sin, bro. For real. It's a sad state of affairs that we live in. Toys in the attic. Hello, toys. Ginger locks. I am a conservative and I'm proud to be MAGA. Yeah, I mean, I'm a conservative too, but I'm not MAGA. I'm old school conservative. I'm like Ronald Reagan conservative. You know what I mean? Well, I didn't like George Bush too much. He really screwed up this country, man. Lied to us, sold us a bill of sales to invade other countries on the premise of weapons of mass destruction. I can't stand fucking Bush. I like the old man. The old man was a good president, but if you actually look at his past when he was the director of the CIA, oh, it was disgusting some of the stuff he did. When he was the director of the CIA, he was a part of the MK Ultra program, torturing people in mental facilities. I mean, yeah, it's kind of it's kind of cringy, bro, with George Bush, man. Allegedly, him and several other people that were in power at the time when he was serving under Nixon. Let's see here. Hang on. I had to restart my computer. I'm doing this on a shoestring budget here so I can see the chat. I'm going to talk about some other subjects too, which, bag blasted, stupid keyboard. Get with it, man. Hang on, y'all. What is this crap? Lord help me. Stupid computer. How you doing, Ginger Locks, Mom? Let's see here. Yeah, we'll probably be going live later on my friend's channel later on today. I'm not gonna say the channel name right now, but I'll let y'all know before we end the stream here. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up my chat on my computer. I can see the chat right here, but I like to pull it up on my computer so I could see it better because my eyesight's really bad. Let's see here. Can we find it? Can we find it? I'm not gonna be live long, guys. I'm gonna touch up on the another topic too. Today, Russia attacked Poland, sending over 23 drones and a suspected caliber cruise missile as well today, which is crazy. And it's the first time in 80 years that NATO has wavered Article 4 after the Russians launched a lot of drones and missiles into Poland today. President Trump on Truth Social basically, said, "Here we go." You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, he's like, did Russia really send drones and missiles into Poland, a sovereign country? And here we go. I mean, that was, well, basically the gist of his True Social post. But, I mean, he met with Putin in Alaska, try to get something done with the war in Ukraine, and I guess nothing worked out. So he went back to Russia and attacked Ukraine some more. And here recently, I think he was probably trying to probe, Poland's defenses because he knows he has to attack Poland in order to keep them occupied when they go up to the Swarovski Gap near Lithuania and Latvia. So if they incur across that Swarovski Gap, they can cut NATO in half. So I guess the drones could have been. He says they said that wasn't theirs. The Russians said that it wasn't their. No, they didn't catch the shooter, Benita. Not yet. They're still looking for the guy. Um, but also two Belarusian airplanes incurred into Lithuanian airspace today as well. Two warplanes did. So they're trying to test and probe NATO's defenses. This could be, well, I don't know if it'll start a world war, but it's definitely, they're going to protest about it. You know what I mean? But, it's kind of NATO's fault for having weak, air defenses in the first place to even allow 23 drones and some cruise missiles to enter their airspace. They got like, I think they downed like 10 or 11 of them, and there was like a few of the other ones that went under the radar basically and landed in fields. And I mean, a lot of them were decoy drones. They weren't the Shahad drones. I don't know if you guys know the difference between Russia's drones and stuff, what they use, but it was like a decoy drone. I forget the name of it, but they use it as like basically an infiltrator drone to like confuse enemy radars and stuff like that, so they could launch a real attack somewhere else. That's basically what they've been doing to Ukraine, but Ukraine has developed jamming devices that jam and interfere with those drones' ability to basically go on target and knock stuff out. I saw a clip of an old man being arrested. Well, they might have arrested him. I don't know. I was just reading the report, Benita, on the news just now. They might have. I don't know. I just can't believe Charlie is dead. Yeah, I know, Calypso Nurse. Sorry, I couldn't keep up with y'all's comments earlier because I'm on my phone. Let's see here. We'll go into the comments here. I'll get back to the Russia subject here in a second. I just can't believe Charlie died. Yeah, me neither. What Democrat has been killed for their ideologies? Probably none, Ginger Locks. I don't think any of them get assassinated. I don't think I've ever heard of a Democrat president ever get assassinated. You know what I mean? Usually it's Republicans. Teddy Roosevelt was almost assassinated. He got shot. He actually got shot when he was doing a speech. And then, as much of a Chad that he was, bro, he jumped right back on the podium and finished his fucking speech and then went to the hospital, bro. Like nothing happened. He was a Chad, bro. He was totally risen on that shit that day he got shot. You know what I mean? Abraham Lincoln was shot by a liberal. I mean, every conservative president we've ever had has either tried to been assassinated by the opposition or been assassinated by the opposition. You know what I mean? It's not been too many. I think McKinley got assassinated. I think he was a conservative. Who else? Who else? I'd have to look at the list, Ginger Locks, but mainly most of the, president candidates or, conservative mayors have been assassinated throughout history, governors, you know what I mean? Because they were part of the opposition party, you know what I mean? But that's the party that they represent, they can't stand their political rivals, so they go into assassination mode. You can't really blame the party overall, but they put out that hate and that fervor and that hate speech, and almost basically, telling people to unalive freaking their opposition. Man, it's been like that for years. I mean, back in the old days, people used to get in fist fights at political rallies. People get shot at political rallies back in the old days. You think what's going on now is bad? I think it's pretty peaceful compared to what used to happen back in the old days. I mean, they get in fist fights. I mean, they come with guns at political rallies and shoot at each other and shit back in the old days in towns. It was pretty bad back in the day. They had no law and order. It was just like a free for all, you know. I think it's pretty tame compared to what it used to be, but you know, it you still have that underlying visceral hate for each other for political ideology or a difference of opinion in politics. You know what I mean? Instead of coming together, they try to divide. They've been dividing this country for years. It's nothing new. They failed at Jim Crow and keeping African Americans down to where they couldn't vote. They failed at that. They failed at basically keeping slavery uh, a thing. During the Civil War, and they said it was over states' rights, so they wanted to keep their slaves. They failed at that. Every policy they've ever made was either conquest of other countries, while they're saying their political rivals were warlike, and all they wanted to do was start wars over. This is nothing new. I mean, the liberals are the most warmongering candidate politics. I mean, not politicians. Most liberals are all about war. They don't give a shit. They say, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, our opposition. If you vote for him, we're gonna end up invading Mexico." I mean, look what happened under Andrew Jackson when he was president. They invaded all the Southwest territories in Florida, killed massive amounts of Native Americans, displaced them, sent them out to Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Under that racist type of bullshit that their party promoted. You know, uh, again, under let's see. Well, Lincoln was a great president. I mean, he ended slavery, abolished slavery. They were the ones wanting to keep it. You know what I mean? And they said it was over states' rights. It's bullshit. They just wanted to protect their right to own slaves, and then they failed at that. You know what I mean? But every time you've seen something really bad in history, I mean, they even try to subvert the rights of African Americans in the 1960s. You know, to where they couldn't vote after the Civil War ended, they had the right to vote because they were free people. You know what I'm saying? And they still try to subvert the right for them to vote. I mean, it's disgusting what the liberals have done. They basically gave Martin Luther King an ultimatum. He said, "Hey, if the African American community don't vote for liberal politics in the next 30 to 40 years, you won't be able to get your right to vote." To sway their voting for their side, basically have them subservient to the Liberal Party for the next 40 years and dependent on the Democrats. They most African Americans were conservative. They voted for the Republican Party, but they were given an ultimatum: you won't never be allowed to vote if you don't vote for conservatives, basically. And then they had no choice but to capitulate just to get the voting rights. You know what I mean? Back in the 60s. That is the truth. Lyndon B. Johnson gave them the ultimatum. And then after that, they tried to assassinate fucking Martin Luther King. That's sad, bro. Well, they assassinated him, probably. The same guy that was a liberal who was, who got accused for assassinating Martin Luther King was a liberal. You know what I'm saying? It does kind of make sense, Ginger Locke's mom, that they like to assassinate their political rivals. And that's, there's a truth to that. I mean, anybody that is opposition to their agenda, but they've like, they changed their stripes a lot, though, the conservatives do. Now they're all about the party of tolerance and, they're more liberal than they were conservative. Back in the old days, liberals were more conservative because they were more about the working man, unionizing corporations, looking after their own people, you know what I'm saying, and helping out poor people. And now it's like they've done a 360 and it's all like they're more liberal than they were conservative. It's really fucking weird. My grandfather used to tell me this shit all the time. I mean, yeah, I would debate my grandfather all the time. He was a liberal. I couldn't stand him. I mean, he's like, how in the hell could you vote for Reagan? I was like, well, I liked Reagan. Well, not Reagan, but Bush. I'm sorry. Bush Jr. I voted for Bush Jr. This is like right before he died, you know? And I was arguing with him about. I always argue with my uncles about it too. He's a liberal too, and you know we don't see eye to eye on anything. But at the end of the day, I still love my family, although they're liberal. I still love my uncle and my my grandfather and stuff. You know, we didn't hate each other because of our difference in our politics. You know what I mean? I remember my grandfather arguing all the time with my grandmother about politics because she was a conservative. she, my grandma was a proud MAGA supporter. I mean, she's still alive, but I got her a Trump hat, a couple years ago when he first ran, and she thought it was the best thing in the whole wide world, dude. She thought it was the best present she ever got in her whole life. I was like, here you go, grandma. I mean, I wouldn't wear it myself personally because I'm not a Trump supporter. You know what I mean? I'm not in MAGA. I don't believe in that type of ideology and shit. You know what I mean? I'm not the hardcore part of it. I am a conservative though. But, at the end of the day, the liberals do not bring anything to the table except lining their own pockets with special interest group money, but while getting rich off of the backs of American workers that they don't even give a shit about. They don't care about the American workers and never did. Now these days, back in the old days, it was the opposite. They loved the American workers. That was basically where they were pulling from their voter base. You know what I'm saying? And they've lost touch with reality because again, if they want to make this turn around for them, they're going to have to start looking at what made Donald Trump's run great and try to apply that to their own party going forwards. If they can't touch that or they can't grab that type of energy and excitement in the United States, they're not going to go anywhere as a political party. They're going to be stuck in the back seat, being miserable and hateful and just putting out visceral bullshit and propaganda like they have always done and deadlocked, basically any type of bills going through the Senate. I mean, Trump basically had to do the nuclear option just in order to get a couple of his candidates passed through the fucking Senate, dude, because they were deadlocked. Was it Chuck Schumer's been deadlocking him for over 2 years now since he's been president? He can't even get his own cabinet voted in because of Chuck Schumer and shit, dude. It's called political divisiveness. Anything that he puts out, they cry about it. They deadlock it in the Senate. They have to use nuclear options. But Trump wasn't the only one that started using the nuclear option. That happened under Obama. He set the precedent for using the nuclear option in the Senate in order to basically bypass the Senate to get things passed. I think he did that with Obamacare, I believe. And we're stuck in the situation we are now in society where people just don't give a shit about nobody but themselves. They ain't over there looking after their neighbor. They don't even say hi to you. The most miserable people I've ever seen in life are liberals. Why you got to be so miserable? It's just politics. We ended up voting somebody else in later. I mean, the next guy that you guys push forward might become president. Stop crying. It's only 4 years. He ain't going to be a dictator for fucking, another 8 more years. He can't do it. There's laws. Well, you could, in theory, because Roosevelt's nephew, was it FDR, became president for 4 terms. It has happened in the past. It's rare, but it can happen. There's a loophole in the Constitution where a president can, if they want, become president more than once. But nobody's ever invoked it except Franklin Delano Roosevelt back during the Great Depression era. But again, it was only a tradition that, they can't serve more than once. It was kind of like Washington's like, passing the torch down to the next guy. So no one ruler could rule longer than, you know, 2 terms. You know what I'm saying? He's the one who set the precedent. But again, anybody can be president as many times as they want. It's just a tradition. You know what I mean? So stop crying about fucking Trump being a dictator and blah blah blah, wanting to serve more than 1 term. He can't. If he does, I mean, what can you do? I don't see them crying about Franklin Delano Roosevelt being president for 4 terms. He was a good president, but he was a liberal, you know. So was President Eisenhower, President Truman, blah blah blah. But we'll get back onto this whole Russia incurring into um, Poland today. It was last night. Uh, they were sending drones through Polish airspace, but this time these drones had the thing about these drones that were being sent over into Poland is that basically the ones they were sending into Ukraine were using SIM cards from cell phones. They were using GPS guidance systems that were from like SIM cards. Y'all don't know if you know anything about SIM cards. A lot of SIM cards from every country has their own GPS location to it. So they were using these Shahad AI drones with SIM cards that they purchased from Ukraine. I don't know, for some back alley fucking, black market shit. And once they got these SIM cards, they would send those drones and they would basically ping off of cell towers with the Shahad drones so they could pinpoint and locate the targets that they're wanting to hit. Well, this time go round, whenever the Polish military went to go basically seize or like locate these drones that they knocked down last night, a lot of those drones had Polish SIM cards in them. So basically, they were buying black market SIM cards from Poland, and this is how they know that Russia's full of shit. That these drones were sent in on purpose to test either their air defense or basically to try to attack critical facilities within Poland that are helping with the Ukrainian war effort. So they can't deny the fact that they sent these in on purpose. The drones and the cruise missiles. So they found Polish made SIM cards on them because I don't know how you know if you know how these drones work. They use these like little SIM cards, I guess, in their hard drives or whatever, basically so they could use that as a guidance system. And that's what they've been finding on a lot of these drones in Ukraine is they've been finding a lot of these SIM cards in there because basically they're using those SIM cards to bounce off a signal off of Russian satellites to get them to basically hit critical facilities. I don't think their caliber missiles use those, but the drones definitely do with their AI technology. So, yeah, this is a major incursion by Russia into NATO territory. And it could, well, they haven't waived Article 5 yet. Article 4 is basically to deliberate if they're going to waive Article 5 and then go to war. So, right now, they're debating on if they want to go and attack basically Russia, basically, or get more involved in Ukraine by sending in soldiers into Ukraine, NATO soldiers to Ukraine basically to fight the Russians and bomb them. But if that happens, I mean, both sides will nuke each other. I mean, it's not a win-win situation for either side. Russia should have known better. But unfortunately, no. When you got an evil dictator that's a lunatic like Putin who never lives up to any of his promises, you know what I mean? But lie about everything. Every time you try to negotiate with the dude, he breaks every deal that you make with this dude. You can't trust him. I mean, even Zelensky said, told Trump, you can't trust him. Anything that he tells you is bullshit while you're over there catering to one of the most brutal dictators in the history of mankind uh since fucking Adolf Hitler or Joseph Stalin, uh Mao Zedong, you know what I mean? You can't negotiate with fucking dictators. He should have known better than that. I know he's probably doing it for political theater, but still, I mean, They don't give a fuck. By him even allowing Putin to go to fucking Alaska was like a big win and a slap in the face to all of our allies. Really, I mean, honestly, I mean, he should have put more pressure on Putin by putting more sanctions on him. I mean, he should have known whenever he failed to get any type of peace treaty done between Russia and Ukraine here recently, when he first came into office and he failed on his face, and that whole debacle, the way they, you know, fucking President Zelensky acted in the White House, that whole debacle and everything, that nothing's never going to fucking change unless you meet iron with iron. You cannot fuck with Russia unless you have a strong defense and a better upper hand with Russia. You can't negotiate with them unless you basically have a stronger front. You know what I mean? They look at mostly Europe as weak and ineffective. You know what I mean? When you're going over there saying, "Oh, it's the coalition of the willing," really willing? Yeah, okay. I thought NATO stood for something like protecting other weaker countries from uh, bullies like fucking Russia and shit. But they're the established world order. I mean, everything goes through European banking and American banking, basically leaving these little countries subservient to these bigger world powers and NATO and stuff like that. So, what's the alternative? Well, Russia comes and visits them. Oh yeah, Russia's in BRICS. This is great. We could go and join their little group of people, and we're not going to be sanctioned to death if we go against NATO and the world IMF world banking system. We don't have to be subservient to them. They're giving us better freaking deals over here. So they're going to sway a lot of opinions in the United Nations because of that shit. So they can get, more votes on their side while they're in the United Nations. So they could basically veto any type of situation of putting soldiers into Ukraine. Russia will use their veto, and every other small country they've influenced over the years with this whole Brexit thing. India as well is a part of it. And I mean, I guess basically they're calling it the new axis of evil. China, North Korea. I mean, they all met a couple weeks ago. They should have known it. They were meeting in China, and they were all meeting there here recently. Something big was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And this might be the situation that we're facing here. That China might have gave insurances to Russia. Is like, go ahead, go attack NATO. We'll back you all the way, because they already found out most of those drones that Russia are using came from China anyways. They've been backing Russia the whole time while lying and saying they're not building them weapons. They're using North Korea as a way to launder their weapons through North Korea and stamp them North Korean to send them to the front in Ukraine, basically, for the Russians. I mean, we've already seen that the North Koreans are sending soldiers to aid Russia in their war. I think, was it 6,000 soldiers have already North Korean soldiers already got killed or captured in Ukraine over that. And that was a big deal too. I'm surprised they didn't waive Article 4 after that, you know what I'm saying? For North Korea's incursion into Ukraine. But, I just wanted to go live real quick, guys, to touch on this subject about, Russia sending in drones and even missiles as well, into Poland. We might be going to World War III after the debate. If the Article 4 debate happens, they may put sanctions and do nothing, or we might be going to a third world war with Russia. So keep that in mind, guys. Pray for the peace of the world. And, I was going to touch on the whole Qatar situation where Israel, I forgot to mention that Israel also bombed an apartment complex in our ally country of Qatar, where we have a lot of military bases, and this could cause an issue with American relations and Israel relations, because they basically launched an air attack on I think it was an apartment complex where they were housing Hamas terrorist leaders, and they got killed. They killed a bunch of them actually in Qatar, and that could strain relations between America and the Arab Emirates of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and stuff like that. When you got another ally attacking your other ally while you're sitting there in military bases is not good for your influence in that region. You know what I'm saying? And could have further repercussions for America and our military bases in that region because of Israel. You know what I mean? But again, it's a double-edged sword. You know, when you play both sides of the fence, you're friends with one person, you're giving them weapons, and then that person goes and bombs the crap out of that country you're supposed to be friends with, and you're patting them on the back and smiling them in the face while your other friends are attacking them. It's not good for you. But yeah, that whole situation is also devolving into maybe a regional condemnation of Israel by the Arab Emirates, and they're threatening to pull out of the Abraham Accords as well because of it. And countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, a few other Arab nations, Oman, Jordan, even Egypt's protested about it as well. But again, hopefully that situation will dissolve and Israel don't attack another Arab country again, because that could have tremendous consequences for America going forwards in any type of negotiations with these Arab countries to keep our bases there. Okay, guys, thank you for coming to my stream. And thoughts and prayers go out to Charlie Kirk's family. He had passed away today. It's unfortunate we lost another bright rising star in our political atmosphere in our country that will be hard to replace in this country. It's sad that we have to, lose good people to political ignorance and hatred. Maybe people could put down their swords and maybe come together because of stuff like this in the future, so this kind of thing never happens again because of difference of opinion in politics. It's a sad day that I have to do a stream like this, or they even have to talk about it on the news. It's sad. My thoughts and prayers go out to Charlie Kirk's family, his wife, and his kids. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. You're gone, but you're never forgotten. Y'all take it easy. It's been your old pal Hondo on another stream, and y'all take it easy. Bye-bye.